school?
I knew she went out the night before, so I figured she was just kind of sleeping in.
Mickey? Coming in. Mickey.
Mickey isn't home.
Mickey?
Mom is terrified.
If she said she was coming home, she came home, and if she said she would be home early, she was home early. I mean, we knew something was wrong.
Her sister's first reaction is annoyance.
We couldn't get in touch with her. It was going straight to her voicemail, and I remember I texted her, I was like, you're being an idiot. Like, you need to wake up and get home so that we can go to Zach's graduation.
But missing her brother's big day is a red flag. Something isn't right. Mickey is a responsible young woman on the verge of graduating from the University of Louisiana, where she's studying anthropology.
Mickey was bright and bubbly and sassy, and people would think we were twins.
Typical 21-year-old. She lived a pretty full life. She went to school, she worked, went out with her friends. She was a lot of fun.
After the graduation, the family heads straight home, hoping Mickey will be there waiting.
Mickey?
Mickey!
Where is she? She's not here.
Mickey's little brother's graduation has come and gone. She isn't answering her phone, and no one in this tight-knit family has seen her in 18 hours.
Oh my God.
She's not home. Number's going to voicemail. This is bad.
So that's when we started calling people.
Mickey's gone missing.
Hey, Claire.
I'm sure it's nothing.
Were you
but
with
we don't know
Mickey?
where she-
Frantically dialing anybody we could think of.
Have you seen Mickey? Did she stop by? She texted you? No one had heard anything from her at all.
Did she go to someone's place, or did she stay with you?
Then, a lead. A girlfriend says she spoke with Mickey the night before.
They were like, well, she was with Bretley last night. Why don't you ask him if she slept over?
Fellow University of Louisiana student Bretley Wilson is Mickey's best friend.
Hello?
Bretley, hi, it's Charlie.
Hey, how's it going?
Bretley says he and Mickey went to a bar,
No, sure.
then picked up some food before going back to his place.
He said she left my house on her bike, and she said she was going home, and he just kind of trailed off and left it there. Something wasn't really right.
Bretley claims Mickey left around 1:40 a.m. It's a 4.5-mile ride and should have taken Mickey around 25 minutes.
First, we called the police. The police are like, okay, make sure you call the hospitals. So we called them, we gave the description, looking for an injured biker or someone brought in who can't remember anything. There was no one matching that description.
Desperate to do something, Dad, Tom, and the rest of the family start searching Mickey's likely route home.
You know, we're like checking ditches, checking bushes, just if there's a biker in there, she might be knocked out, she can't get up.
Climbed every fence. There was no trace of no bike, nothing.
Nancy calls police again, but this time she asks them to find her daughter.
It's not like her. She always comes home.
They sent an officer over to take a description.
110, 112
20 pounds? You guys might want to check over here, this too.
Detective Stephen Baja will lead the search for Mickey Shunick.
I was quickly able to see that this was not a common thing that occurred, and that they were extremely worried about her. The big thing was that she missed her brother's high school graduation. That was something that she was supposed to go to, and she just didn't show up.
Investigators start with the last person known to have seen Mickey, her friend Bretley Wilson.
Very quickly, the police honed in on Bretley. Of course, any male friend is going to be the prime suspect.
Being that it was a male and female relationship, we wanted to make sure that there wasn't any romance between them, and that it wasn't a domestic issue, or that possibly Bretley had made an advance toward her and she turned him down.
Now, when she was leaving your place, did she mention that she was meeting someone?
My first impressions of Bretley, he seemed kind of nervous, which again raises suspicion for us as investigators. And anybody's capable of murder.
And you guys don't have a history or anything? There's no.
Bretley denies any romantic involvement with Mickey, but detectives only have his word for it.
His statement gave us a timeline up until 1:45 or so.
His timeline of events seems innocent.
They were at a little bar, and that they left that bar and rode their bikes back to his house. They got into his vehicle and went to a restaurant where they purchased food, and then they drove back to the residence, and she got on her bike, and that was the last time he had seen her.
Police ask Brettley if there's a friend, a roommate, anyone who can back up his story. But there isn't. With the clock ticking, they send crime scene text to Brettley's house.
We're just looking for things that are out of place, things that are broken, possibly if there's any blood evidence.
They search for anything connecting him to Mickey's disappearance.
There was nothing out of place. Everything was in order and spot on with what he was telling us.
Police are no closer to finding Mickey Shunick. And if Brettley Wilson knows where she is, he's not telling. Police must check out each part of his story, starting with the bar he claims they went to at 10:15. And when they get there, they find a witness who they know never lies.
You guys have some security cameras? I can see that there is one right there. Perfect.
The bar is rigged with an array of surveillance cameras.
It's important for us to grab that video before it gets erased.
For detectives, it's a gift that may catch Brettley in a lie. No one has seen or heard from Mickey Shunick in 36 hours. Her family is distraught.
I was incoherent. I didn't know what day it was. I met people, didn't remember. I was nuts. I mean, I was in another world.
Did you see her?
Worst part about having a missing person is not knowing what happened. And you want to believe what your imagination will do to you. The missing part was just the worst.
Right now, Mickey's best friend, Brettley Wilson, is investigators' only suspect.
He's the last person to see her. There were no other suspects.
And then we went back to my place.
Wilson says he and Mickey spent the evening at a bar, a fast food restaurant, and then onto his place. He says Mickey left his house, headed home on a bike at around 1:45 a.m. Police start at the bar.
We were told that they went to Atmosphere, which is a local bar and restaurant in the area.
Immediately, officers see them. Security cameras.
Okay, yeah, I see that you got another one there.
A camera over the front entrance, some on the bar, and more covering the seating areas.
We obtained video surveillance from their business.
If Brettley was here with Mickey, as he claimed, they should arrive at 10:15. And right on time. There they are. All looks routine. Next, they appear at the bar, smiling and talking. It looks like nothing more than a fun evening out. Police watch 2.5 hours of footage from the cameras. They see no sign of problems. No fights, no incidents. Just a few beers. At 12:44 a.m., Mickey and Brettley simply leave. They don't seem drunk, and they aren't holding hands. Everything seems normal.
We were able to see Mickey come into the bar as well as leave. And what was important about that was that no one followed her from the bar.
The first part of Brettley's story has checked out.
Still no sign of 21-year-old Mickey Shunick.
Outside the police station, Mickey's disappearance is fast becoming a big news story. Desperate to help, family, friends, and well-wishers swing into action.
We had missing person flyers, just taping them on posts, making sure people knew what she looked like.
The whole community was involved, and there's just team after team searched the whole city.
Mickey has now been missing for 40 hours. While the local community mobilizes, police race to check out the next part of Bretley's story.
After that, we went to Taco Bell, got some food, sobered up.
Bretley gave us an approximate time frame on when they went to Taco Bell. We were able to determine that by matching it to Mickey's bank statement.
But what they don't know is who used her card, and was Mickey safe when it was used? To find out, investigators turn back to their most reliable witness, surveillance video.
We obviously wanted to catch her on video. We went to Taco Bell.
The restaurant says the purchase was for a couple of snacks and was made at the drive-through window. It hands over all its footage from the night. Police stare at the footage from the takeout window as car after car comes through. Then they spot it.
Ready?
It's Bretley's Chevrolet Cavalier. It's hard to see who's behind the wheel. But after reviewing the footage, it becomes clear. It's Bretley driving.
When we were reviewing it, all we could see was Bretley at the window inside of his car purchasing the food.
Using Mickey's ATM card. But where is Mickey?
We couldn't see anyone else inside the car.
It's a huge disappointment. But they replay the footage, and this time spot something new.
He turned and handed it to someone that was sitting in the front passenger seat.
No matter how many times they play it, the video just isn't clear enough to reveal the mystery passenger. Maybe Mickey's there, and maybe she's not. Police can't shake the fear that Bretley and an accomplice are using Mickey's bank card.
It could have been someone else that was there that he's not telling us that harmed her.
There's one last part of Bretley's story to track down.
He said that she left the house a little bit before 2 in the morning, riding her bicycle. And he said that was the last time that he had seen her.
Is there a camera that might have caught a glimpse of Mickey's ride home from Bretley's house?
It entails us, driving the beat, knocking on doors, and basically just looking at the corners of buildings and inside of buildings, looking to see if there's any cameras.
According to Bretley, the first part of Mickey's route home is down residential streets.
Bretley had given us a path. It didn't seem like a normal path that she would take, but we had to go with it because that's the way that Bretley said that she always would take home. And we followed that path, and we weren't able to find any video surveillance.
It's the first time Bretley's story doesn't check out.
That's it.
He could be lying to us, either in the path, or could be lying to us in the sense that she never left the house.
It's now 2 days since Mickey disappeared, and the investigation is stalling. Baja is forced to think again. Maybe Mickey left Bretley's house, headed somewhere other than home.
She could have been going elsewhere and just told Bretley that she was going home. So at that point, we had to broaden the search area for surveillance.
Video is the detective's best hope for finding Mickey.
They started asking us to put on our social media pages for anyone in the area to turn in any private cameras they have.
We gathered over 300 different videos from different businesses, and we got a snapshot of the city.
Camera after camera draws a blank. Until at last, a tiny glimmer of hope.
I gotta go.
It really wasn't that clear of a video, but you could see that it was a female riding a bicycle.
Yes, sir. That's our girl.
"21-year-old Mickey Shunick is missing after a night out with a friend.
We were a mess, you know. We didn't eat, we didn't sleep. We just worried and fretted and wondered. So.
Ma'am, our daughter, Mickey, she's gone missing. If you have...
Nancy was not coping very well. Charlie was continually upset, too. My main thing was to do something. I had to do something, try and find her. Help the police all you can.
Police suspect Mickey's friend, Bretley Wilson, but they don't have any proof. They have visited dozens of local businesses that could have been on Mickey's bike route. Their search for CCTV has been fruitless. But at Mid-South Bank, that's about to change.
5 days into the investigation, we were able to find surveillance from a local bank.
The bank has 4 cameras facing the building and the street, all running 24/7. They cue each camera up to 1:40 a.m. the night of Mickey's disappearance, expecting another strikeout.
There.
That's when they see it.
It was at night. It was an infrared camera.
It's blurry. It's off-center.
We had it enhanced.
But there's no doubt.
You could clearly see that it was a female riding a bicycle.
They switch to a camera facing west. There she is again. And when they check the next camera, this one facing east, they pick up another detail. Blonde hair.
That's her. That's our girl.
But is it really Mickey Shunick? Detectives ask the people who know her best.
They brought Charlie and I in. They showed us a video from more or less a block or two from where she left Bretley's house.
Yes, oh my God!
It is.
That's the blonde hair and the flashing light on the bike. That's definitely her.
It is her. Sure.
Yeah.
I remember looking at it and being like, that's absolutely my sister. If it's your family member, someone you love, you know, like you can tell it's them from their mannerisms. So we know she was safe. We know that she got out of Bretley's neighborhood. You know, that was kind of an uplifting moment.
That catches her riding her bike past at about 1:46 in the morning.
See that? It's got to be.
It's definitely her.
That ruled Bretley out as a suspect right there. It showed that she had in fact left the residence at the approximate time that he had said she had.
There was no more investigation into him after that.
But that leaves detectives with no suspects and no leads. The investigation is now entirely about finding more cameras that saw Mickey.
So we know that she was going this way. Now, from what her family told us, is that normally when she would take her route, she would go up this way to get to her house.
Since we had her on the video at the bank, it gave us a starting point and the path that she would have had to travel in order to get to her house.
Police locate a surveillance camera at a Circle K convenience store. The camera is set to time-lapse, recording one frame every second.
It's frustrating because we weren't able to distinguish too much or who was passing by.
At first, investigators see only car headlights. But watching frame by frame, they spot a blurry image. A light on a bicycle flashes. Mickey's bike has a flashing light. It matches with Mickey's path. And it points detectives to the next camera likely to pick up her image.
We quickly determined that our City Hall was in that path, and we got the video from them.
This camera on City Hall faces the Circle K. Police scroll through the footage of that camera to the same time.
You could clearly see her crossing a major thoroughfare and ultimately going out of view.
The shot shows nothing out of the ordinary. But officers now have video of Mickey from 3 locations. and it confirms important information.
The more video surveillance we obtained, we were able to continually capture her at different locations and show that she was, in fact, heading toward her home.
Police continue the route, looking for still more cameras. 400 yards past City Hall, they find a camera pointing at the road.
It was at a local attorney's office, and we obtained that video.
Right here.
There she is again. From one camera to the next, detectives can now plot almost a mile of Mickey's journey home.
Video surveillance to this point is the only thing that's providing leads for us in this investigation. It's the only thing.
The next camera on the route to Mickey's house is about a quarter of a mile away.
We have an event center that's a little bit further down her path that had video surveillance outside. She would have had to pass that way.
Officers cue the video up to the moment Mickey should be riding through the frame. She should ride right through the picture from left to right at 1:48 a.m. They wait. But Mickey never appears.
She wasn't captured on any of that video surveillance. It gave us that quarter of a mile area where something could have happened to her.
One moment, Mickey is right there, riding home. And 400 yards later, she's vanished. Police now know that whatever happened to Mickey happened here, on this short stretch of St. Landry Street.
We put officers and search volunteers on foot to search the area and look for physical evidence, bike parts or car parts or skid marks. It's quite possible that that it would have been a hit and run, or that it could have been somebody that was intoxicated.
We couldn't find any reflectors or any debris or anything from the bike. So you figure at this point, well, somebody took it.
At a loss, investigators take a fresh look at all the video, this time looking for any other clues the footage can give them. Have they missed anything?
On the video, there were only 3 vehicles that were seen in that area. Being that it was 2 o'clock in the morning and that it was a side street, we were lucky that was the only traffic that was caught there.
Using the video, detectives identify 2 of the vehicles, get their license plates, and track down the drivers.
We were quickly able to identify 2 of the individuals that were on there as people that were either driving through or one that was actually employed and doing work on that side street.
But a 3rd vehicle is unaccounted for.
The 3rd we could tell was a white Chevy pickup truck.
The truck passed City Hall just 4 seconds after Mickey rode by.
The white truck that became like this infamous symbol of the whole case.
The video isn't clear enough to get a license plate, but investigators aren't about to give up.
Hi, this is Detective Bahad calling.
We contacted a local Chevrolet dealership, and we were able to determine the make, model, and year of the truck. It was a Chevy Z71.
There might be 3,000 white Chevrolet pickup trucks in this area that are registered with the state of Louisiana. How do we eliminate 2,999 other vehicles and focus on to one?
Despite the long odds, it's detectives' best lead. A potential witness who could be the last person to see Mickey. Police have a new lead in their quest to find missing college senior Mickey Shunick. Surveillance cameras captured a white Chevy pickup truck that was on the road at the same time Mickey was riding home. Police get the description of the truck out to the media.
What the whole community and all the law enforcement started looking for was this truck.
It's now 7 days since Mickey disappeared. Her family are doing everything they can to keep Mickey's story on the front page.
It's a story today, but it may not be the story tomorrow. But what the family and friends did in Mickey's case is they kept it fresh.
I mean, everybody is on your side. The main thing that keeps you going is the community support. Everybody's behind you. Everybody wants to find her. Everybody wants to find who did this.
We try to stay together out in public and then go home and fall apart. I think you have to make a conscious effort to, you know, to not just curl up in a little ball and, you know, quit.
Really, I was thinking that a drunk driver hit her and was holding her.
If you made a mistake and you accidentally picked her up or something, and you're just scared, I mean, it's okay, we won't say anything. Just call the tip line and drop her off anywhere and we'll find her. And please, don't hurt her.
With the family doing all they can, police have not given up searching for more CCTV of the mystery truck. Their perseverance pays off. They find new video of the white pickup approaching the intersection where Mickey was captured on the Circle K and City Hall cameras. It shows something small, but strange.
When the white pickup went through there, he was on a 4-lane road. He was in the middle lane.
Which means the driver is planning to go straight at the intersection. But when police check the convenience store camera, it shows he has changed his mind and made a sudden right turn. The question is, why? Maybe it's a coincidence, but that's the exact moment when Mickey rides by.
What we saw was her crossing that major thoroughfare, and then right behind her, you could see that white pickup truck turn quickly behind her. It almost seemed like that the truck had seen her and was attempting to follow her.
Detective Bajaj now believes the white truck is stalking Mickey.
Goes here, and then we have the truck following right there.
Investigators take another look at the last video of Mickey before she disappears and spot something that chills them to the bone.
The last video shows him ahead of her, and then it shows her pass by, and that's the last point that she's on video. We believe at that point that he continued on, found an area where there were no lights, there were no houses or businesses or no witnesses.
The truck and Mickey both disappear on the right part of the frame. Mickey is never seen again, making the truck driver the prime suspect. But before they can locate the driver, 30 miles away, an ominous discovery.
Whiskey Bay is in the middle of the Atchafalaya Basin, which is one of the largest swamps in the area. It is an extremely deep pilot channel. Definitely a good place to hide something.
Some fishermen found the bike over there. Luckily, the water had dropped and a handlebar was sticking out, and called the police.
It was fortunate for us that it didn't make it out into the current, and the bike actually fell right there on the shoreline and got stuck.
Detective Bajaj called me and my dad to the police station. He looks at me, he goes, I don't want you to freak out, but we think we found her bike. There's some damage to it. I need you to identify it. And they showed us the bicycle, and I almost passed out. It was definitely her bike.
She certainly didn't ride her bike, 30 miles on I-10 and then throw it over the bridge. So I figured, well, somebody took her, and now they realize that she's a treasure, she's a gem, she's a jewel. They're holding her, and we're going to get her back. So.
Detective Bajaj isn't so hopeful.
At that point, it led investigators to believe that this might not be a very positive outcome. It looked like she possibly could be dead at this point. Our crime scene personnel examined the bike. They located damage on the rear tire, which was consistent with it being struck by a vehicle. They were able to show that the damage on the tire of the bicycle was at the approximate height of a factory bumper on a Chevy Z71 pickup truck. That was some evidence that was tying that unknown truck to the bicycle at that point.
All leads point to the white pickup, but police still have no idea who is driving it.
So we knew somebody had hit the bike and took the evidence and threw it in the river. So now the question is, where's Mickey?
Because the bike was located there, we definitely thought that her body could be located there, so we sent divers down, and those divers searched the area, but ultimately didn't find the body. We were able to say that she wasn't in that area where the bicycle was found.
Still there's no evidence that she was hurt or that anything bad happened like that.
Nevertheless, 9 days since Mickey disappeared, the chances of finding her alive are diminishing by the hour.
Yep. Oh, I got it. Yep.
Until a breakthrough from over the state line in Texas. Police there have found a truck. It's been abandoned and burned. But it still has its license plates.
Once we were able to identify the license plate that was displayed on the burned truck, we plugged that license plate into traffic cameras that we have in the area. And we were able to capture several still images.
This image places the burnt-out truck in Lafayette, close to the time Mickey disappeared. Baja can't see the driver, but the image does reveal something just as useful.
We had an image of that truck from a traffic camera just 8 hours before Mickey was on camera. And the traffic camera showed a 4x4 post protruding out of the driver's side corner of the bed, as well as a foam white ice chest that was right in the middle of the bed of the pickup truck.
Detective Baja has seen both these items before.
When we took those still images from the traffic cameras and compared them to the last video where she was seen, you could clearly see a 4x4 post and a white square object in the bed of that pickup truck.
The truck is a match. But who was driving it the night Mickey Shunick vanished into thin air? Police are about to discover Mickey Shunick's fate. That's because new surveillance footage shows a white Chevy pickup. The contents of its flatbed match those in the back of the truck seen stalking Mickey.
You could clearly see a 4x4 post and a white square object in the bed of that pickup truck. That was the turning point, and we knew that we were on the right path to catching our guy.
Detectives run the plate and trace the truck to a Lafayette address. The driver is already known to the police. He's a registered sex offender named Brandon Laverne.
And now all of our efforts are focused on Laverne because we were confident and certain that that was his truck on that video.
Investigators discovered that the day after Mickey's disappearance, Laverne checked himself into a hospital in New Orleans with stab wounds, claiming he'd been robbed at a gas station.
Once we obtained Brandon Laverne's name and we started looking into his past and looking into his actions, everything fell into place.
In 2000, Laverne was convicted of a serious sexual assault and sentenced to 10 years.
The more we learned about him, the bleaker it looked, because he was just a really bad guy.
There was nothing or no bit of information that came up that ruled him out in this incident.
His truck was seen stalking Mickey. Then it turned up burned in Texas. And Laverne showed up at the hospital with deep cuts.
Based on all the evidence that we had in the case and had against him, An arrest warrant was obtained charging him with first-degree murder.
Well, when they arrested Laverne, we knew it was bad. Very little hope.
They took him down to a police station. They started asking him, a few things, and then they hit him with, the Mickey Shunick murder.
Detectives push Laverne for answers.
You're not nervous, are you? No. Not worried? You need to be, Brandon. There is a list of issues, okay, we need to address regarding the disappearance of Mickey Shunick.
No, bro, that's bull. I didn't have nothing to do with that girl's freaking disappearance. No, bro, I want an attorney. Man, it's over with, now. Oh, my God. What the going on here?
Friends who killed Mickey Shunick.
Detectives know Laverne killed Mickey Shunick, but they still don't have her body. The DA's office has a strategy, but they want Nancy and Tom to sign off on it.
It was explained to them if the death penalty was taken off the table, that he would tell us where Mickey was. And at that point, I mean, you could see it, that they knew that she was definitely dead.
As far as we know, somebody...
And he asked us if we'd be willing to plea bargain with this guy. And immediately Nancy just said, I want the body found. I just want the body found.
I mean, we had to know what happened. Otherwise, you're forever just wondering.
You ready to do this?
Laverne will avoid facing the death penalty if he reveals what he did with Mickey's body.
We have a small community cemetery. That's it right there.
How deep is she buried?
Not that deep. I was pretty badly injured. So I couldn't really dig that deep to the grave.
Is she completely covered?
Yeah, I'll put it there on top. Okay.
He had buried her in an old cemetery. So, genius.
Once they had positively identified the body, that was some closure on it. That part of her being missing was over.
As part of the deal, Laverne must also give a detailed account of the night he killed Mickey.
Laverne's account of the incident is that he was driving down St. Landry Street. He saw her riding in the middle of the road, and he struck her. We think at that point that she was unconscious and was placed into the vehicle and came to. Laverne said that Mickey then sprayed him with some mace. He was known to have a knife inside of his truck. She took that knife and began to stab him. And at that point, he said that he wrestled the knife away from her and stabbed her several times in the chest. He said that he believed that she was dead at that point. He then drove out into a field, and when he stopped the truck, he said that Mickey came to, jumped up, had the knife in her hand, and stabbed him in the chest. At that point, Mickey turned to try to escape. He grabbed the gun and shot her in the head. It was a very intense moment to hear him say that he did stab her, that he did kill her.
Actually finding out how she died was really bad, but at the same time, she kicked his ass, or, she beat him up, she fought back, she almost killed him, and, she did everything she should have done.
I miss talking to her. She always had something funny to say. At the time she disappeared, she and all her friends were in school, and now they're teaching and counseling and, doing other things, and she's forever 21.
We knew that she pretty much had solved her own case. Without those injuries, he would have never gone to New Orleans. There wouldn't have been evidence in the truck for him to burn it. So she set the events in motion that ultimately led to his suspicious activity.
And without video surveillance footage of the white truck following Mickey, her trail of clues would have gone undetected.